Most of all, though, the argument in these last weeks of the campaign has really been about the nature of hope. You know, I talk about hope a lot. And the reason is because the likelihood of me standing here is very slim. Now, I was born to a teenage mother. My father left when I was 2. I was raised by a single mom and my grandparents. They didn't have money, they didn't have fame or fortune. What they could give me was love, an education, and some hope. And so I talk about hope. We've got hope on our sign. I did a speech in Boston about hope and wrote a book called The Audacity of Hope. And so now I know Senator Clinton and others, some of the reporters, some of the press, they say, oh, he talks about hope all the time. He's so naive. He's not realistic. He needs a reality check. He's peddling in false hopes. He doesn't have a clear view of how things really work. And the implication, I think, is not just about me, it's about you. You know, the notion is that, well, you know, all these people show up just because, you know, they want to hear a pretty speech, but they don't really have a clear sense of what's going on. I was having a conversation earlier today with somebody that said, well, you know, the people are just infatuated. And I say, no, you don't understand what's going on in this country right now.
No, they don't.
Because people know how hard it is.
Yes, they do.
They're living hard. Now, they're seeing how tough it is. They're seeing hard. It's hard to pay the bills. It's hard to find a job. It's hard to educate the kids. It's hard to send them to college. They're not here just because of a speech. People aren't being duped.
No.
They understand how difficult things are. You know, so this notion that somehow, because we talk about hope, that we don't have a clear sense of what's going on, that our heads are in the clouds, that we're just passive waiting for good things to happen, and we're not willing to fight or to struggle. That's not what hope is. Hope is not blind optimism. Hope is not being ignorant of the challenges, the roadblocks, the difficulties that stand between you and your dreams. Hope's just the opposite. I know how hard it would be to provide health care, just like you know. If it was easy, it would have already been done. I know how hard it will be to change our energy policy. You know it too. ExxonMobil made $11 billion last quarter. They don't want to give that up. I know, you know, that it's not going to be easy to alleviate poverty or fix our schools. It's going to require those who have a lot in this society helping out those who have a little. It's going to involve a sense of empathy towards the least of these. It's going to require people to change their mindset. Parents are going to have to we're going to turn off our TV sets, put away our video games, and emphasize excellence in our children, and deal with violence in our own communities. Those things aren't easy. You know it, I know it. I know it because I fought on the streets of Chicago as an organizer. I fought in the courts as a civil rights attorney. I fought in the legislature, and I've won some battles, but I've lost some too, because good intentions are not enough. It's not fortified with political will and political courage and political power. I've seen how easily we can be turned against each other, how politicians can try to use people as scapegoats, blaming Muslims or blaming immigrants or blaming gay people for our problems. I've seen those tricks. And you have too. We know how hard it is to bring about change. But the reason you're here, the reason I'm here, is because nothing worthwhile in this country has ever happened except somebody somewhere decided to hope. That's how this nation was founded. A group of patriots declaring independence against the mighty British Empire. Nobody gave those patriots a chance, but they had hope. Slaves, abolitionists, that's how they resisted that wicked system, and how a new president was able to chart a course to ensure that we would not remain half slave and half free. They had hope. That's how the greatest generation. My grandfather fighting in Pat's Army in Europe. My grandmother staying home with a baby, working on a bomber assembly line. That's how that generation defeated fascism and Hitler and lifted itself up out of the Great Depression. That's how pioneers traveled west. That's how immigrants traveled from distant shores. That's how women won the right to vote. That's how workers won the right to organize. That's how young people traveled south in the 60s to sit in the march, and some went to jail, and some were beaten, and some died for freedom's cause. That's what hope is, Toledo. That's what hope is. That is what hope is. Imagining and then fighting for and working for what did not seem possible before. That's the power of hope in people's individual lives. How they overcome losing a job, seeing the plant shift overseas. How they survive even when they don't have health care. Because they keep on believing maybe we can make it better. And that's the same true with the nation. There is a moment in the life of every generation, if it is to make its mark on history, when that spirit has to come through. When we cast aside the fear and the doubt, and we don't just settle for what the cynics tell us we have to accept, but we decide, you know what, we owe the next generation the same chance that somebody gave us.